women's empowerment and what's the big deal. Good evening, ladies, and you poor gentlemen. I'm telling you, run screaming from here while you can. This is not going to be good for us. But I want to tell you, when I look at all you ladies from Singapore, I think there's a lot of smiles simply because you're from one of the most powerful countries in the world today. And I'm sure women empowerment means different to you than what it means to women in villages in India and, like Dr. Rupini said, in Kosovo and other parts of the world. It's your interpretation of what empowerment is. Empowerment, by itself, the word, is getting yourself powered up. And power can never be given. Power given to you is grace. Power has to be acquired. Let me tell you what I mean by this particular word, empowerment. I'm an actor, and I did a film with Mr. Maniratnam, a close friend of ours. It was called I Dare It. And until then, I was doing all these flower boy roles, cute chocolate boy thingy, and I had to do this film where I'm supposed to be an animal, somebody who kills without thinking, somebody who's a brute, somebody who doesn't think twice about compassion when he's doing his job, which is killing. And I didn't know how to go about that. You know, I was a lucky man. I grew up in a nice place. There was a lot of love and affection. We grew up with children playing in the streets. I didn't know how to be a killer. So I was watching National Geography, and very strangely, I saw this video. I'm sure all of you have seen it, of lionesses attacking their prey and bringing them down. So there was this whole group of lionesses. They identified the wildebeest. They ran after it. The wildebeest was running for his life. So there was complete fear and absolute, what do you call it, bewildering fear in the eyes of the wildebeest while it was running to save its life. And then there was this lioness that was running behind it, caught the wildebeest, choked it to death, and then, with all the other lionesses, they proceeded to eat it. And I was wondering, wow, you know, in the eyes of this lioness which was creating all this violence, hunting down the wildebeest, killing it, the blood, and then eating it, there was no anger. It was just having lunch. Whereas the wildebeest was running for its life, and you could see the fear of death in the eyes of the wildebeest. So I said, hey, you know what? That's how I'm going to be. You know, when I'm doing the film, I'm going to be like, killing is my job. So I don't want to have anger. I'm not going to attack with anger in my face. The lion never attacks its prey with, I'm going to eat you. It's like, hey, come, let's have lunch. It's like that. Right? I think that conditioning, that the lioness does not see it creating it an act of murder, because it's conditioned from when it's a child to think that that's normal. That's just having lunch. That's what happens to men. I cannot agree more with what Dr. C is saying. What I'm trying to tell you is that's exactly what happens with men. We are a sum of all our experiences. And from a child, when you're conditioned to think that you're better than your sister. From as a child, when, unlike Dr. C's parents, there is a discrimination in which the way you bring up your son as opposed to your daughter, the way you let your parents treat your brother as opposed to you. That is the kind of conditioning that gives rise to the society that I produce. Thankfully for me, I come from a family where my mother, let me say this, the name of my school was Dakshina Bharata Mahila Samaj. It's called DBMS. We wanted to keep it sounding very stylish, but it actually meant Dakshina Bharata Mahila Samaj. It was in a place like Bihar. For those of you who don't know India, it's like the Wild West, where surviving is difficult, leave alone lady entrepreneurs. And in 1970s, this was a powerful school run by ladies from the south, which is the north of India, and it's a brutal place to survive. But I never saw my women, my mother, my sister, or the people who ran the school as any less empowered than my father. I grew up like that. So everything that I do in my life was conditioned by the fact that they're all the same. I don't have to give them power. I don't have to treat them differently. I respect them as much as I respect my men. And a reflection of that is in all the films that I have done. Out of the 60 films that I have done, I think every role, every film, every heroine has a very important part to play in my film. They're not just glamour dolls. From the last film that I've done called Irrigation Trip to my first one, Alai, all the girls had very, very strong role to play, and they were not push-arounds at all. The reason I'm saying that is, I didn't do it consciously. It is just that those stories appeal to me. I'm just taking a business decision while I'm doing a movie, and I want to hear the story, and that story I'm able to relate to because that's where I'm from. That's the background that I'm from. So, but there was, barring one stupid film where my director asked me to slap my wife in the film, I don't think I've ever hit a woman in my entire career, even as an actor. Except if you take it, if you take being a coach and whacking somebody for not being. But I've never hit a woman in my film because it just, whenever a director told me that, it didn't make sense. Like, I can never hit a woman, come on, man. So I actually rejected films because I couldn't relate to that. What I'm coming to is, like Dr. C said, in impressive, dramatic stories, very moving stories that I've heard, it is us who perpetrate the actual violence against the women itself. And I see the ad that you've made where it says, you said it was not possible and you were wrong. I'm assuming you're all pointing the finger at the men. Well, hey, question yourself. How many women also tell you that? How many of your mothers actually told you that? And I'm telling you that you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And like Mr. Vishal said very clearly, men only know to roar when they're in their prime. But from the time they're a kid, and when they are old, and I can give you testimony because my father, who was a lion, who roared every time, is right now totally dependent on my mother. Okay, and I think that's eventually going to happen to the two of us, so I'm being really nice to them. The point I wanted to make was my mother was a very, very successful, is still a very successful woman. She was the only lady chief manager of a bank in a place like Bihar, where there would be armed violence every day. And she ran that bank for 30 years, and it's a nationalized bank. And I went to meet her one day at the bank to get some money from her. And this is my last point, because I saw you looking at the watch. Yeah. I'm going to get out of here. So and I went to take some money from her. And she was standing there inside the cubicle with her glass. And there were 4 men with armed, with weapons, with knives and with rifles, standing there, cowering in front of her. I'm saying, I said, that picture doesn't make sense. What is happening over there? And she was standing there saying, how dare you ask me to close my bank? You can have a strike, but you want to attack me, go ahead. And she was very powerful simply because of one thing, is that she was extremely honest. There was an integrity about the way she dealt it. In Bihar at that time, if you gave a loan of 10 crore or say 1 million rupees, getting $100,000 in your house was a norm. You're supposed to get that money for sanctioning a loan. My mother would tell me, my pet name is Balaji, she'd say, if you were to take 10 rupees that didn't belong to you, you will end up giving 100 rupees that you worked hard to get. And that's the norm of the world, and she would never take a bribe. And I used to think she's foolish, man. All my friends have motorcycles that they go to school, and I have to walk because my mother has to take a bribe. But that day, when I saw her standing there, you saw big, powerful men who were actually cowering in front of her because out of sheer respect and the fact that this lady had good in her mind and she really did good when it required. So, like I was saying, I didn't consider that as women empowerment. She was just being a woman who was conditioned by the way she was brought up, and that conditioning made her powerful. I mean, I come from a country where very rarely do you see a woman prime minister. I come from a country where there is a woman prime minister. We have 4 states that are run by women chief ministers, and in no angle are they looking like they need even more empowerment. They're pretty much giving the men a lot of run for their money. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's a privilege to come and talk. Thank you very much for having me here. I have a lot to say as the discussion continues, but this is my brief and on how I feel about women empowerment, and I'm ready to answer all the strange questions that this gentleman has. Thank you very much.
One of the things that I like to tell the actors, Madhavan Mario, Vijay Mario, Rajini Sir Mario, dialogue you have to have life experiences. You have to have many avenues of earning money so that you can give your best to this without having to worry about earning your bread and butter in this industry. Once you make it successful, then it's different deal. So you should learn how to act freely. So you can secure make sure you have an income, make sure you have a proper source of income apart from acting, and then give it your best. So Rupini owns the Madhavan media, the parents and the great achievers. So women's wellness, what is a big deal? I think a scandalous scale, but I think great job done by the entire Rupini Homes team. Thank you very much for making it possible for me to come to Singapore and address this subject.
The topic itself, which is women empowerment, what's the big deal? In Singapore, it's not as big a deal as it is in Bihar. In Bihar, it's not as big a deal as it is in Croatia. And in Croatia, it's not as big a deal as it is in Yugoslavia. Whereas, you turn westward, and house husbands have become a thing of reality. So, to support it is to draw awareness, is to know that, if you're discriminating against somebody merely because they're a woman, then, you're making a silly, stupid mistake, and you're not going to go very far with that mistake. So that's probably it. So life has a strange way of giving you what you want. I decided my life, so I'm thankful.
Anything common between you and Madhavan?
I think that in certain parts of my life, in certain aspects of my life, I'm very tolerant. I like to stay away from unwanted trouble. I like to invite troubles. I like to maintain a certain grace when there is an issue and solve it in that manner. But I think there are the only few qualities I share.
Okay. What was quality time with your son?
Oh, I think for me, it's when he is awe of what I'm doing and he asks me questions that are relevant, and I have to make it a lesson in life, because there are many lessons that I can teach him in terms of my own experiences, but many that he has to go through on his own. So I think preparing him to do that is probably my greatest thing.
Companies have been always doing a lot of CSR, doing a lot of awareness ever since I started in 2011. Beauty was an awareness, and then came body, mind, soul of an awareness, and after that was breast cancer awareness, and now we wanted to introduce, we can't be just targeting our opinion, but then I wanted to do it in a very big way. So I thought, by putting a wholesome approach to the entire wellness, we should be good. So that's why I spin off from where I wanted to just target, instead of targeting issues, then take it as a holistic approach, and then I wanted to get wellness on board. So that's not only just the outside appearance is important, but the inside out, so that they can really present themselves as a package and to be powered. Because today's response was like, it's something amazing which I never expected, but I've kind of expected, but I did not really expect this kind of attention that they gave, and the way they were engaging in the event, and all this actually really took me very high in my thoughts and my aspiration to do more events like this. It was really a sweet deal for me, and I never expected such a sweet deal turned out to be so inspiring, and really thank Madhavan for being on this platform and helping us out with our ideologies.